Hello, my name is Josie, and this is True Identity in Him. Thank you for joining me. For those of us who want to know God's Word, stay tuned as we follow a weekly rhythm of diving into Scripture with the Parashah calendar. Weekly, I share readings from the Torah, the Haftarah, and the Brit Hadashah, also known as the Holy Bible. Whether you're a lifelong student of His Word or just beginning to explore Scripture, this is a great way to listen, learn, reflect, and discover who you are in Him, your true identity. Staying close to the one who provides the words of life is essential, and knowing what His Word actually says is the only way to know Him, the Father God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Today's Bible readings will be from the Complete Jewish Bible Version. We will be reading two parashahs for Pesach 1 and Pesach 2. Today on this Shabbat, Chol, HaMo'ed, Pesach, which is the intermediate Sabbath of Passover. The first Torah portion for Pesach 1 is from the book of HaMo'ed, also known as the book of Exodus, from chapter 12, verse 21 through 51. We will then read the corresponding Haftarah portion from the book of Yehoshua, also known as Joshua, chapter 3, verse 5 through 7, and then chapter 5, verse 2 through chapter 6, verse 1, and then verse 27. We'll conclude our first parashah reading in the Gospels from the book of Yochanan, also known as John, chapter 19, verse 31 through chapter 20, verse 1. We'll then begin the second parashah pertaining to Pesach 2 from the book of Vayikra, also known as Leviticus, chapter 22, verse 26 through chapter 23, verse 44. We'll follow with the corresponding Haftarah from the book of Melachim Bet, also known as 2 Kings, chapter 23, verse 1 through 9, and verse 21 through 25. Then we'll conclude the second parashah reading of Pesach 2 from the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 1 through 8. Okay, let's get started. Then Moshe called for all the leaders of Israel and said, "Select and take lambs for your families and slaughter the Pesach lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop leaves and dip it in the blood, which is in the basin, and smear it on the two sides and top of the door frame. Then none of you is to go out the door of his house until morning, for Adonai will pass through to kill the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on the top and on the two sides, Adonai will pass over the door and will not allow the slaughterer to enter your houses and kill you. You are to observe this as a law, you and your descendants forever. When you come to the land which Adonai will give you, as he has promised, you are to observe this ceremony. And when the children ask you, 'What do you mean by this ceremony?' say, 'It is the sacrifice of Adonai's Pesach,' his Passover, because Adonai passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Egypt when he killed the Egyptians, but spared our houses." The people of Israel bowed their heads and worshipped, and then the people of Israel went and did as Adonai had ordered Moshe and Aaron. That is what they did. At midnight Adonai killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. Pharaoh got up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was horrendous wailing in Egypt, for there wasn't a single house without someone dead in it. He summoned Moshe and Aaron by night, and he said, "Up and leave my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go, serve Adonai as you said. Take both your flocks and your herds as you said, and get out of here. But bless me too." The Egyptians pressed to send the people out of the land quickly because they said, "Otherwise we'll all be dead." The people took their dough before it had become leavened, and they wrapped their kneading bowls in their clothes and on their shoulders. The people of Israel had done what Moshe had said. They had asked the Egyptians to give them silver and gold jewelry and clothing, and Adonai had made the Egyptians so favorably disposed towards the people that they let them have whatever they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. The people of Israel traveled from Ramses to Sukkot, some 600,000 men on foot, not counting children. A mixed crowd also went up with them, as well as livestock in large numbers, both flocks and herds. They baked matzah loaves from the dough that they had brought out of Egypt, since it was unleavened, because they had been driven out of Egypt without time to prepare supplies for themselves. The time the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. And at the end of 430 years to the day, all the divisions of Adonai left the land of Egypt. This was the night when Adonai kept vigil to bring them out of the land of Egypt, and this same night continues to be a night when Adonai keeps vigil for all of the people of Israel through all their generations. Adonai said to Moshe and Aharon, "This is a regulation for the Pesach lamb. No foreigner is to eat it, but if anyone has a slave that he bought for money, when you have circumcised him, he may eat it. Neither a traveler nor a hired servant may eat it. It is to be eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the meat outside the house, and you are not to break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel is to keep it. If a foreigner staying with you wants to observe Adonai's Pesach, and all his males must be circumcised, then he may take part and observe it. He will be like a citizen of the land, but no uncircumcised person is to eat it. The same teaching is to apply equally to the citizen and to the foreigner living among you." All the people of Israel did just as Adonai had ordered Moshe and Aharon. On that very day, Adonai brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their divisions. And now we go to the book of Yehoshua and Joshua. Yehoshua said to the people, "Consecrate yourselves, because tomorrow Adonai is going to work wonders among you." Then Yehoshua said to the Kohanim, "Take the ark for the covenant and go ahead of the people." And they took the ark for the covenant and went ahead of the people. Adonai said to Yehoshua, "Starting today, I will make you great in full view of all Israel, so that they will know that just as I was with Moshe, so I will be with you." It was at that time that Adonai said to Yehoshua, "Make yourselves knives of flint and circumcise the people of Israel," again a second time. So Yehoshua made himself knives of flint and circumcised the people of Israel at Givat Ha-Aralot, which is a hill of foreskins. The reason Yehoshua circumcised was that all of the people who had left Egypt, who were males, all the fighting men, had died in the desert along the way after leaving Egypt. So for although all the people who left Egypt had been circumcised, all those who had been born in the desert on the way as they went on from Egypt had not been circumcised, because the people of Israel walked 40 years in the desert until the whole nation, that is the fighting men who had left Egypt, had died out, because they had not heeded what Adonai said. Adonai had sworn that he would not allow them to see the land which Adonai swore to their ancestors that he would give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So he raised up their children to take their place, and it was these whom Yehoshua circumcised. Till then they had been uncircumcised, because they had not been circumcised while traveling. When all the nation had been circumcised, every one of them, they stayed where they were in camp until they had healed. Adonai said to Yehoshua, "Today I have rolled off from you the stigma of Egypt. This is why the place has been called Gilgal, rolling, ever since." The people of Israel camped at Gilgal, and they observed Pesach on the 14th day of the month, there on the plains of Jericho. The day after Pesach, they ate what the land produced, matzah and roasted ears of grain that day. And the following day, after they had eaten food produced in the land, the man ended. From then on, the people of Israel no longer had manna. Instead, that year, they ate the produce of the land of Canaan. One day, when Yehoshua was there by Jericho, he raised his eyes and looked, and in front of him stood a man with his drawn sword in his hand. Yehoshua went over to him and asked him, "Are you on our side or on the side of our enemies?" "No," he replied, "but I am the commander of Adonai's army. I have come just now." Yehoshua fell down with his face to the ground and worshipped him, and then asked, "What does my Lord have to say to his servant?" And the commander of Adonai's army answered Yehoshua, Take your sandals off your feet, because the place where you are standing is holy." And Yehoshua did so. Jericho had completely barricaded its gates against the people of Israel. No one left, and no one entered. Now we'll read in the book of John. It was preparation day, and the Judeans did not want the bodies to remain on the stake on Shabbat, since it was an especially important Shabbat. So they asked Pilate to have the legs broken and the bodies removed. The soldiers came, and they broke the legs of the first man who had been put on a stake beside Yeshua, then the legs of the other one. But when they got to Yeshua and saw that he was already dead, they didn't break his legs. However, one of the soldiers stabbed his side with a spear, and at once blood and water flowed out. The man who saw it has testified about it, and his testimony is true. And he knows that he tells the truth, so that you too can trust. For these things happen in order to fulfill this passage of the Tanakh, that not one of his bones will be broken. And again, another passage says, "They will look at him whom they have pierced." After this, Yosef of Ramatayim, who was a Talmid of Yeshua, but a secret one out of fear of the Judeans, asked Pilate if he could have Yeshua's body. Pilate gave his consent, so Yosef came and took the body away. Also, Nakdimon, who at first had gone to see Yeshua by night, he came with some 70 pounds of spices, a mixture of myrrh and aloes. And they took Yeshua's body, and they wrapped it up in linen sheets with the spices, in keeping with Judean burial practice. And in the vicinity of where he had been executed was a garden, and in the garden was a new tomb in which no one had ever been buried. So because it was preparation day for the Judeans, and because the tomb was close by, that is where they buried Yeshua. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Miriam from Magdala went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. And now we'll read, and we'll begin with the parashah for Pesach 2. And that begins again now in the book of Leviticus. Adonai said to Moshe, "When a bull, sheep, or goat is born, it is to stay with its mother for 7 days. But from the 8th day on, it may be accepted for an offering made by fire to Adonai. However, no animal is to be slaughtered together with its young on the same day, neither cow nor ewe. And when you offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Adonai, you must do it in a way such that you will be accepted. It must be eaten on the same day it is offered. Leave none of it till morning. I am Adonai. You are to keep my mitzvot and obey them. I am Adonai. You are not to profane my holy name. On the contrary, I am to be regarded as holy among the people of Israel. I am Adonai, who makes you holy, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai." Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, the designated times of Adonai which you are to proclaim as holy convocations are my designated times. Work is to be done on 6 days, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of complete rest, a holy convocation. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a Shabbat for Adonai, even in your homes. These are the designated times of Adonai, the holy convocations you are to proclaim at their designated times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between sundown and complete darkness, comes Pesach for Adonai. On the 15th day of the same month is the festival of matzah. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. And on the first day you are to have a holy convocation. Don't do any kind of ordinary work. Bring an offering made by fire to Adonai for 7 days. And on the 7th day is a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, after you enter the land I am giving you and harvest its ripe crops, you are to bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the Kohen. He is to wave the sheaf before Adonai, so that you will be accepted. The Kohen is to wave it on the day after the Shabbat. And on the day that you wave the sheaf, you are to offer a male lamb without defect in its first year as a burnt offering for Adonai. Its grain offering is to be 1 gallon of fine flour mixed with olive oil, an offering made by fire to Adonai as a fragrant aroma. And its drink offering is to be of wine, 1 quart, and you are not to eat bread, dried grain, or fresh grain until the day you bring the offering for your God. This is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live. And from the day after the day of rest, that is, from the day that you bring the sheaf for waving, you are to count 7 full weeks. Until the day after the 7th week, you are to count 50 days, and then you are to present a new grain offering for Adonai. You must bring bread from your homes for waving, 2 loaves made with 1 gallon of fine flour, baked with leaven, as first fruits for Adonai. Along with the bread, present 7 lambs without defect, 1 year old, 1 young bull, and 2 rams, and these will be a burnt offering for Adonai, with their grain and drink offerings. An offering made by fire is a fragrant aroma for Adonai. Offer 1 male goat as a sin offering and 2 male lambs, 1 year old, as a sacrifice of peace offerings. The Kohen will wave them with the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Adonai, with the 2 lambs. These will be holy for Adonai for the Kohen. On the same day, you are to call a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. This is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live. And when you harvest the rice crops produced in your land, don't harvest all the way to the corners of your field, and don't gather the ears of grain that are left by the harvesters. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am Adonai your God. Adonai said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, in the 7th month, the first of the month is to be for you a day of complete rest by remembering a holy convocation announced with blast of the shofar. Do not do any kind of ordinary work, and bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. Adonai said to Moshe, the 10th day of this 7th month is Yom Kippur. You are to have a holy convocation. You are to deny yourselves, and you are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. You are not to do any kind of work on that day, because it is Yom Kippur, to make atonement for you before Adonai your God. Anyone who does not deny himself on that day is to be cut off from his people, and anyone who does any kind of work on that day, I will destroy from among his people. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live, and it will be for you a Shabbat of complete rest. And you are to deny yourselves, and you are to rest on the Shabbat from evening, the 9th day of the month, until the following evening. Adonai said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, on the 15th day of this 7th month is the feast of Sukkot for 7 days to Adonai. And on the first day, there is to be a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. For 7 days, you are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. And on the 8th day, you are to have a holy convocation and bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. It is a day of public assembly. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. These are the designated times of Adonai that you are to proclaim as holy convocations and bring an offering made by fire to Adonai, a burnt offering, a grain offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, each on its own day, besides the Shabbats of Adonai, your gifts, all your vows, and all your voluntary offerings that you give to Adonai. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered the produce of the land, you are to observe the festival of Adonai for 7 days. And the first day is to be a complete rest, and the 8th day is to be a complete rest. And on the first day, you're to take choice fruit, palm fronds, thick branches, and river willows, and celebrate in the presence of Adonai for God for 7 days. And you are to observe it as a feast to Adonai 7 days in the year. It is a permanent regulation, generation after generation. Keep it in the 7th month. You are to live in Sukkot for 7 days. Every citizen of Israel is to live in a sukkah, so that generation after generation of you will know that I made the people of Israel live in Sukkot when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Adonai, your God. Thus Moshe announced to the people of Israel the designated times of Adonai. And now we go to 2 Kings. Then the king summoned all the leaders of Yehuda and Yerushalayim, and they assembled with him. And the king went up to the house of Adonai with all the men of Yehuda, all those living in Yerushalayim, the Kohanim, the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing everything written in the scroll of the covenant that had been found in the house of Adonai. The king stood on the platform, and he made a covenant in the presence of Adonai to live following Adonai, observing his mitzvot, instructions, and regulations wholeheartedly and with all his being, so as to confirm the words of the covenant written in the scroll. All the people stood, pledging themselves to keep the covenant. Then the king ordered Hilkiyahu, the Kohen Hagadol, the Kohanim of the second rank, and the doorkeepers to remove from the sanctuary of Adonai all the articles that had been made for Baal, for Asherah, and for the entire army of heaven. And he burned them up outside Yerushalayim in the fields of Kidron and carried their ashes to Beit El. He disposed the idolatrous priests the kings of Yehuda had ordained to offer on the high places by the cities of Yehuda and in the places surrounding Yerushalayim. And he also deposed those who offered to Baal, to the sun, the moon, the constellations, and the whole army of heaven. He took the Asherah from the house of Adonai to Vadi Kidron outside Yerushalayim, and he burned it in Vadi Kidron. He stamped the ashes to powder and threw the powder onto the burial ground for the common people. And he smashed the houses of the cult prostitutes that were in the house of Adonai, where the woman also wove garments for the Asherah. And he removed the Kohanim from the cities of Yehuda. Then from Gevah to Beersheba, he desecrated the high places where the Kohanim had been making offerings. And he also smashed the high places of the gates that were at the entrance of the gate of Yehoshua, the governor of the city, and on the left as one enters the city. But although the Kohanim who had been at high places did not come up to the altar of Adonai in Yerushalayim, nevertheless they did share matzah with their kinsmen. The king issued this order to all the people: observe Pesach to Adonai your God, as written in the scroll of the covenant. For Pesach had not been so observed since the days when the judges ruled Israel, not during the times of any of the kings of Israel or of the kings of Yehuda. But in the 18th year of King Yoshiyahu, this Pesach was observed to Adonai in Jerusalem. Yoshiyahu got rid of the mediums and the people using spirit guides, as well as the household gods, the idols, and all the disgusting things spotted anywhere in Yehuda and Yerushalayim. He did this in order to establish the words of the Torah written in the scroll of Hilkiyahu, the Kohen, had found in the house of Adonai. No previous king was like him, because he turned to Adonai with all his heart, with all his being, and with all his power, in accordance with all of the Torah of Moshe, nor did any king like him arise afterwards. Finally, we end with Mark. When Shabbat was over, Miriam of Magdala, Miriam the mother of Yaakov, and Shlomit brought spices in order to go and anoint Yeshua. Very early the next day, just after sunrise, they went to the tomb. They were asking each other, "Who will roll away the stone from the entrance to the tomb for us?" Then they looked up and saw that the stone, even though it was huge, had been rolled back already. On entering the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right, and they were dumbfounded. But he said, "Don't be so surprised. You're looking for Yeshua from Nazareth, who was executed on the stake. He has risen. He's not here. Look at the place where they laid him. But go and tell his Talmidim, especially Kepha, that he is going to the Galilee ahead of you. You will see him there, just as he told you. Trembling but ecstatic, they went out and they fled from the tomb, and they said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. That concludes the two parashah readings for Pesach 1 and Pesach 2. Today on this Shabbat, Chol HaMo'ed, Pesach, which is the intermediate Sabbath of Passover. Thank you for listening. I pray that we continue to grow in knowledge of his words, and may our walk with our God grow closer. I bless you with the holy ancient words. Yivarechecha Adonai vayishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha vichunecha. Nisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the Lord make his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Until next time, remember that man does not live by bread alone, but instead by every word that comes from the mouth of God. I encourage you to remain connected to him, speak with him, and reflect on his words daily. It is all about a relationship. Remember, he loves you, and as you seek him, you will find him, and in so doing, you will discover your true identity in him. Friends, if you enjoy listening to the weekly Bible portions, please consider subscribing to this free channel. Click the bell icon to receive notifications, and click the like button so more people can be reached. Blessings and shalom.